Wisdom. It's an incredibly valuable asset. Some would say more precious than gold. It's attractive, appealing, admirable. Conversely, a lack of wisdom is the basis of immaturity, blind spots, and bad decisions. Wisdom. It can be gained over time, but it can't be rushed. But wisdom can be shared. That's precisely what we are here to do right now. Today, we are here to hack wisdom, to distill it, to understand it, and to process it. Why? To get better at life. Welcome to The Main Thing. This is your new 9-minute podcast. I'm your host, Skip Linneberg, and I've set out to interview the wisest people I know. We'll see what we can learn from each one when they're faced with an incredibly difficult, soul-piercing question. My guest today is Jason Gray. He's a singer and songwriter who shares his talent and artistry across the contemporary Christian music space. Jason signed with the Centricity music label in 2006. He's won 2 ASCAP Performance Awards for his hits More Like Falling in Love in 2011 and Good to Be Alive in 2012. His hit song, Nothing Is Wasted, reached the #1 spot on the charts and remained there in the top spot for 9 weeks in 2013. Jason tours frequently and loves playing in small venues, especially churches. Originally from Minnesota, he makes his home today in Nashville, Tennessee. Jason Gray's music has touched my heart personally and changed my life. And he's also one of the wisest people I know. So over the next 9 minutes, get ready, you'll find out what unique bit of wisdom Jason has chosen to share with us. Hey, Jason, let's help our audience get to know you a bit and understand how you and I are connected.
Sounds great.
So I think it was 2013. I had the great pleasure of hosting you when you came to play in Charleston, West Virginia at my church. And we got to have a great lunch together. I think I talked you into some sort of a swordfish omelet or something like that. It was delicious.
I was going to say, I knew fish was involved. So
fish and eggs, a rare combination.
When I'm on the road, I've got a few hobbies, and they have to do with being on the road since I'm on the road a lot. When I'm in the town, I want to find a cool coffee shop.
Yep.
And I want to find a cool place to eat where I can have a unique food experience and stuff. And so I was so grateful when you picked me up, you were on board with that, and you brought me to a place where I could have a meal that I would only have there. So that was great.
Anytime I have a chance to introduce folks to something unique and local, that's a pleasure for me to do that. Jason, your song, I Am New, which I discovered around 2010, man, it really touched my heart and changed my life. That song hit me with a new perspective that I'm not defined by the mistakes I've made. I am new.
Mistakes that I've made because God says of me, I am not who I was, being remade, I am new.
Boy, that came to me at a time that I was just really wrestling with some shame and guilt and sin and separation from God. And your song led me back to Christ in 2010, 2011, and I thank you for that.
That's a remarkable thing to hear. Wow, thank you. You know what's so interesting about that? Like, I wrote it, so of course I know what I meant by it, right? Of course I should, because but you know, like I'll have this experience a lot of the time where I'll write a song, I'll play it out hundreds of times, and then about 4 years down the road of the life of the song, I'll be playing it, and all of a sudden it hits me like, oh, wow, that's what I meant by this song, you know, and like it was waiting for me to catch up.
Wow.
I have a friend who says the songs know what's going on in us before we do.
Ooh, I love that. That's really rich. So, Jason, let's get right down to the core of the show. What's the main thing that you've learned so far at this point in your lifetime?
One of the main things I've learned in this season of my life is it's the art of being a better listener. And I'll break down for you what I've learned about that. It's something like this, that the Holy Spirit only speaks in real time, which is why I believe, you know, Jesus said in Matthew 10:19, he said, "But when they arrest you, do not worry about what to say or how to say it. At that time, you will be given what to say." And that has to do with a quote I heard the past is depression, and the future is anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it's only living in the now
Oh,
where I
yeah.
the Holy Spirit. So let's say that you and I have history, and we've had conflict, and we've hurt each other.
Okay.
So then when I come to a conversation with you, I might be tempted to be thinking about how our conversations have gone in the past.
Of course.
And so I'm bracing myself then, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, when I've said this, then Skip has always said this. So I'll be prepared. I know what I'm going to say this time, Well, then I'm speculating about the future, right?
Yeah.
I'm not allowing you to be who you are today, because you might be something completely different today. So that's one thing I'm doing that is not helpful. The other thing is I'm only talking to myself then, right? If I'm thinking about how it's always gone in the past and I'm speculating about how it might go in the future, I'm only talking to myself. But if I can abandon all of that and just be present in the moment,
Yeah.
then there's a real opportunity to hear from the Holy Spirit.
And the openness, right? Instead of trying to fill it all in based on what you think you know or what the past indicates and to predict it, then instead of that, you've got this openness.
Have this openness and ability to receive something new, right? And in that moment, too, well, it also means this, like let's say I'm having a conversation with my son, let's say.
Okay.
Or a spouse or whoever. A bad listener listens to words.
Yeah.
A good listener listens to the heart behind the words. A great listener listens to the interpreter of that person's heart, which, of course, is the Holy Spirit. I think of Romans 8:27, it says, and he who searches our hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people in accordance with the will of God. The Holy Spirit is praying for us with groans too deep for words. Now, I am always tempted to listen to people with the zeal of a Pharisee, hanging on to people's every word and holding them accountable to their words. Hey, but you said that, and I can get, maybe I'm right, but I'm so wrong, and I miss the point entirely. And worse than that, I miss their heart.
Oh, totally. Right? Yeah. I'm laughing because I've done that before many times.
I do it all the time. Yeah. It's also been helpful to me to realize, that words are these very crude, rough, imprecise instruments that we use to try to articulate the mystery of our hearts, right? And so for many years, I was guilty of demanding accuracy from people and missing their heart in the process, and just kind of hanging on every word. The longer you can get a person to speak, the more they speak, the more accurate they will become. Because there is this weird thing in us that we can taste in our own words when we are saying something that we believe or don't believe.
So true.
And if you let people talk and communicate and give them permission to be inaccurate and imperfect in all of that, that thing is going to kick in, and they're just going to become more accurate, But if you demand accuracy too soon, it shuts people down.
Yeah.
And that's just been a life-changing exercise for me, recognizing that there's an opportunity for me to be a great listener who listens to who's not distracted by a person's words.
Yeah, right.
But is doing my best to tune into the interpreter of that person's heart, which is the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, wow. I would consider myself a good listener, but I've got a whole new framework. I've got a whole new paradigm now for how I'm going to listen. So thank you for that. Wow. I'm going to listen not just to the words, but to the person who's speaking to me, to their heart, and to the interpreter of their heart, which is the Holy Spirit speaking through them.
Once you start to listen that way, you just begin to realize how irrelevant words are. They're just these half-baked, broken tools that we use, a very obvious example that I think most people can relate to is maybe you're in a conversation with a person who is hurting and frustrated with you, and they tell you, go away, I want to be alone right now. Well, and if you look into their heart, you might recognize that is exactly the opposite thing that they want, that they really somehow want you to lean in,
Mm-hmm. Jason Gray, we just want to thank you so much for joining me for the Main Thing podcast today. Thank you for the wisdom that you shared, and thank you for all the people that you're going to help and bless with the truth and the wisdom that you spoke today.
I hope so.
Wow, 9 minutes is up. That goes by incredibly fast, doesn't it? Time flies when you're hacking wisdom. I hope you're left wanting more. Sync up with us again next time on The Main Thing for 9 more minutes of wisdom.